Hello and welcome. Today we are going to talk about how to want it without needing it. Okay, so that is the theme for today. So by now, you probably know that when you get obsessed with something, you actually prevent it from manifesting it. Okay, so when you need something, paradoxically, you keep it from coming to you. Needing is exactly what prevents it from coming. So, how are you supposed to know that you want to manifest something without getting obsessed with it? How do you know how to want something without crossing into needing it? So, today I'm going to talk to you and show you how to want something without needing it. Okay? This is a big shift in perception that all manifestors have to kind of go through to get really, really good. And so, this is how you maintain your desire for what you want without crossing into the realm of becoming needy or obsessed. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about that real quick. Let me say a few quick hellos here because I see we already have some people in here in the chat. I do see we've got a couple supers here. Thank you to Happy Daisy. Appreciate you so much. Yes, I am back. Last week, my brother was in town. And then the week before that, I was going to be here, but I had an unexpected funeral I had to attend. So that's why I wasn't here the week before. But I am back today. And we've got another super here from Abundant Queen. Thank you so much, Abundant Queen. I appreciate you. Thank you. And then also Peace. Thank you so much, Peace. Peace, thank you for appreciating the lives. You know what, Mary right now, this is another, quick announcement. Mary is on the back end in StreamYard with me today. So if you don't see her in the comments, that's why. If someone comments with my name, that's Mary. So Mary's still here. She's still here. You just can't see her today. We'll figure out how to get her comments back up as soon as possible. But also I see we've got Picket Music is here. Luis is here. Happy Daisy is here. Jessica's here. 540 Joy is here. Annette Martinson is here. Jesse from the Mia is here. Cowlitz Bill is here. Zachary is here. Coach Debbie is here. Tanya is here. J. Cole is here. Christina, John Davis, Otis, nice to see all of you. Cheryl Ann, nice to see you. Looks like we're up on Instagram. Instagram took a moment to get going, but nice to see you guys showing up here. Hi, I am Lily Rain. Nice to see you. As you guys are coming in, make sure to say hi. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them into the chat because as usual, I'll be pausing and answering some of those as I go along. Let's go ahead and jump into it though. How to want something without needing it. Okay, this is an important skill. It's a shift in perception. Okay, so I'm going to share with you guys how you shift your perception so that you can want the things that you want, but not become overly dependent on the outcome or need them to occur. Okay, because it's perfectly fine to want something. Okay, perfectly fine. But the second you need it, you actually push it away. So let's talk about the first perceptual shift that everyone's got to make to become really good at wanting things without needing them. Okay, so the first perceptual shift is to really understand where the fun is and where the fun is not. Okay, where the fun is versus where the fun is not. So, one of the big misconceptions that people have is that if I get this thing, I will be happy. It's a misconception. If I get this thing, I will be happy. That's actually not where the fun is. That's not where the fun is. The fun is in the journey from the absence to the having, but not actually in the having. Okay? And when you understand this, it makes it a lot easier for you to keep your desires in perspective. So what I mean by this is, have you ever really wanted something? You really, really wanted it. And then as you could tell that it was getting close, you started getting excited. And then the second you got it, you had that moment of elation, and then it was gone. Once you had it, the fun was over. So this is an important thing to notice because you'll notice every single time you manifest something, there's this experience that you'll have of coming into this belief that I think I'm going to get it, I think I'm going to get it, and then getting it, and then the fun is over. So the point here is that the fun or the excitement in the manifestation is always in the journey. It's not in the completion. Now, this is a perceptual shift that is ironically going to make it much quicker for you to manifest the things that you want. So let me kind of explain this with an example of a particular manifestation. And so this is an example that lots of people have seen because lots of people have had experiences with this. And this is in relationship building. Okay. So very frequently people have the belief that when I get the boyfriend, or when I get the girlfriend, or when I get the husband, or when I get the wife, then I'll be happy. Okay. But as many of you guys have probably experienced, the real fun in the relationship is in that moment when you guys are getting closer and closer and closer, but it's not quite official. Okay. That's where all the fun is. And so you want to understand that the fun is actually in that point where you're coming together, but you're not quite there. Now, why this is helpful is that you want to understand that you're really kind of in a dance with the things that you want. And the fun is in the dance. The fun actually ends the minute it becomes part of your reality. You just kind of accept it. You start to take it for granted and you want something else. So you're only going to actually have a lot of fun with your manifestation when it's in the process of unfolding. Okay. And so this is something that will help you detach yourself from need, is understanding that while we're still kind of in this pursuit stage, this is the fun stage. So if I come back to the relationship example, okay, again, a lot of times people want to manifest the girlfriend or the boyfriend and they think they'll be happy when that happens instead of enjoying the dance, enjoying the getting to know the person, enjoying kind of the mystery, enjoying the first few dates. And they miss the fun. And because they start to need the person, they actually push the person away when they need to lock them down. But the person who actually enjoys the dance, enjoys the getting to know, enjoys the fun of the pursuit is the person who gets the commitment quicker. Okay? So funny enough, the more you enjoy the journey toward the thing that you want, the less you actually need it to occur because you're actually enjoying the fun. Okay, so the first point here is really, if you don't want to get needy, remember where the fun is. The fun is before it actually manifests. And when you acknowledge this to yourself, you can actually enjoy the fact that you're in pursuit of something. That's where the fun is, rather than what a lot of people do, which is that they don't have fun during that part. They're stressed out because they think they need it. They want to lock down the commitment, and the commitment evades them. Okay, so this is the first thing to understand. When there's something that you kind of want that's on your radar, that's the fun. The fun is coming into alignment with it. Once you're actually in alignment with it, you're on to the next anyway. So for each and everything that you want, remind yourself that, oh, right now I'm in the adventure of bringing this in. This is the fun part. Just reminding yourself of that makes it easier for you to detach from need, easier for you to get in flow, easier for you to enjoy the journey towards it. And when you enjoy the journey towards it, you speed the journey up significantly. Okay, so that's the first perceptual shift. Don't kid yourself into thinking that when I get this thing, I'll be happy, because it's not true. Okay. Once you get it, you're going to start thinking about the next thing. That's the nature of the way that we are. We are creators, so we always want to create something else. So once it's created, the fun and games are over, on to the next anyway. Might as well enjoy this time where it's coming into being. That's the first point, but of course we have more. Let me pause for a second though and hop through here real quick. See if we've got anything here to answer. Oh, and also real quick, we got the new year coming up soon. So before I forget, this time of year, I start getting lots of questions about, manifesting weight loss, that kind of stuff. And so a quick reminder, if you have not yet picked it up, I do have a free tip sheet for manifesting your best body. Okay, so this is the mentality that I use to stay in great shape year round. You might want to pick it up now. It's free, so you have this ready for you. So if you're interested in trying to get into shape for the new year, you've already got it. You can locate that at bestbodytips.com. Again, that's bestbodytips.com. Mary will go ahead and drop something for that in the chat. It'll look like my name. Okay, but Mary, go ahead and drop the Best Body Tips link there for people if they want it. And then also another quick note, when the new year hits, I'm also going to be running a sale on my abundance products. So if you have any abundance courses or packages that you were looking at, quick note, they will all be going on sale December 30th through January 6th. Okay, so that's coming up in the future, but just to let you know now, you can always go ahead and take a look at all of the courses that I have below in the description. On Instagram, the links are in the link tree in my bio. But take a look at the abundance programs because those will all be going on sale December 30th through January 1st. All right, that's the business. I saw a question here I wanted to answer real quick. Where was it? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Coach Debbie, what if I really need the 20,000? Okay. Okay, so this is going to happen. All right. So when you guys have things that you want, this is another thing that I got to put in here. When we have things that we want, we all often describe them as things that we need. Okay. And so this is an important thing to get into, is that we don't want to define ever that we need it. Now I'm going to give you some reasons in a minute why you don't need it. Okay. But the fact of the matter is, this is something that I want. I am alive. I do have a reality. This is something I want to add to my reality. It's not necessarily something that I need. Once we start telling ourselves that we need it, reality starts to fill in and make it look that way. Okay, so it's going to look like I need this money because this isn't going to work if I don't get the money. I need this money because I'm going to lose this if I don't get the money. But actually, none of that is true. Okay, none of that is true. Anything can work out regardless of what's coming to you in the moment. So I'm going to touch more on this in a minute, but I wanted to answer this question quickly because one thing that we train ourselves into thinking we need things. So we say things, I need to lose 5 pounds. I need to get in touch with so-and-so. I need to da. And we want to try and shift the way that we speak to I want this rather than I need this. Because if we define it as something that we need, reality is going to reconstruct itself in such a way that it starts to look more and more like it's a need versus a want. Okay, so this was something I wasn't planning on saying, but it's worth mentioning now. Everything that you have as a manifestation, you want to articulate it as being something that you want. Okay, good question. Let me grab this one real quick. Got another super here. KL Virex, thank you for this super. My brother has been struggling to get his business off the ground for more than a year. I would like him to get funding ASAP. How do I manifest this for him? You know, I've noticed that manifesting things for other people, at least for myself, is usually easier than manifesting things for me. So, you know, because if you want it for somebody else, it doesn't tie into any of your personal insecurities necessarily. So I'm saying this because I always think it's great for you guys to try and manifest things for other people because it can be fun practice. What I will say is that in this particular situation, the thing that's kind of sticking with this is that you're noticing that your brother is struggling to get his business off the ground. Okay, so the focus is on he is struggling. So when I'm focused on somebody struggling, what am I going to create more of? I'm going to create more of that person struggling, right? So the answer to your question is really in coming to look at him as someone who is successful, someone who is capable, someone who is powerful, someone who is abundant. Because when we project that onto the brother, now he's a match to the funding because I'm viewing him in my reality through the lens of this guy's a winner. Okay? So that's what I would be focused on. What is your brother doing right? Why is he smart? Why is he capable? Why does he have this? Why does he got this? That's what you put on him so that he can be successful in your reality. I hope that makes sense. All right. Let's move along now, okay? Again, today we're talking about how to want something without needing it. The first thing, okay, realize where the fun is. Stop trying to skip the fun to just get the thing, okay? Because once you get the thing, you're going to want another thing. The fun is always in that interim where you go from that place of, I don't quite have it, but I think it's coming, I think it's coming, I think it's coming. That's where the fun is. When you understand that, you can celebrate and enjoy not having it in the moment. Because right now we're having fun, okay? And when you start to have fun, you accelerate the speed of it coming to you. So that's the first perceptual shift. Don't kid yourself that once you get it, you're going to be happy. No, once you get it, you're going to want something else. The fun and the happiness is in that closing of the gap process. All right, so here's the next perceptual shift. If you want to be good at wanting things, but not needing things, okay, we want to start to understand what the big picture is, and we want to shift our goal from the little picture to the big picture, okay? So the little picture is the thing you want right now. Okay, I want to lose 20 pounds. That's the little picture. I want to manifest a wife. That's the little picture. I want to manifest a car. That's the little picture. Now, why is it the little picture? It's the little picture because the big picture is your reality. Your reality is the big picture. Your reality is everything in your reality, not just the wife, not just the car, not just the house, not just your weight, all of it. So a very helpful thing to do is to shift your goals with manifestation away from being, I want this thing, this thing, this thing, to a much bigger goal. I want the best reality I can create. I want the best reality I can create. So this is an important thing to get, because what happens is when we learn about the law of attraction or law of assumption, we start to use it to attend to little things. I want to make this little thing happen. And we lose the forest for the trees. Instead of focusing on creating our reality, we're focused on creating a car, or creating a relationship, or creating a sum of money, okay? Now, when we do this, we become needy and we become obsessed. We become fixated on one small thing rather than building the actual reality, okay? So for an analogy here, let's say that you were a developer and you built houses. That's what you do. Okay, that's your job. You build houses and then you sell them. All right, so a developer would be wanting to build the best house he could build. He's not going to get, or she's not going to get hung up on the wall sconces, okay? Or the tile in the kitchen. They're not going to sit there and get overly fixated about one particular area of the house. Rather, they look at the gestalt of the house or the totality of the house, and they try to make the house as good as possible. Now, this is a very helpful thing to understand when you are manifesting, because it will help put things in perspective where you can understand that, you know, maybe I want the sconces, or I want the tile, or I want the pool. But what's really important is that this is the best house that it can be. So one thing that's been exceptionally helpful for me in manifesting better and better things into my reality is always to zoom back out and to be looking at my life or my reality in its totality, rather zooming in on the very narrow specifics. So if you ever find yourself getting fixated on something, it's always best to zoom back out and look at the totality of your life and be putting your attention on the totality rather than the specifics. So noticing the totality is what's going to keep you guys in flow state. This is why it's important. When you are focused on manifesting the best life you can manifest, well, now you're going to be getting yourself out of that state of need. You're going to notice, oh, I'm a little fixated over here and this is making things wobbly. I should zoom back out and focus over in a different area. Or, you know what? I've really been obsessing about this person or this job, and now other areas of my life aren't getting focus and they're starting to crumble. So I've already given this one enough focus. Let me go ahead and focus over here. There was a video game I used to play way back when, and maybe some of you guys have played it before, but the video game is The Sims. So if you've never heard of The Sims, I used to play this when I was younger, but it's basically like a life building game. So you have a character and your job is to, make sure that that character showers and make sure that it gets a house and get it a job. And then it starts building furniture in its house and it starts building a neighborhood and it's building a life. Okay. If you're playing The Sims and you're just focused on getting furniture, you're not going to do all the other things. And the reality that you build is not going to be your best reality. So this is a really great way to keep you from needing things, is that I want you guys to look at building a great reality as priority number one. All these other things are just little manifestations. Priority number one is always building your best reality, because when you focus on the big picture, you're going to be focusing on building your life in all facets, not just one narrow area. Because when we start getting into one narrow area, we get needy. We push that thing away that we want. And unfortunately, we stop focusing on the rest of our reality. And the rest of the reality starts to crumble. So this is why you'll see this, where people get obsessed with one thing and then they let their health go, or they're not taking care of themselves, or their relationships start to crumble because they're not placing focus on the big picture. Okay, so that's the next thing that we want to do. If we want to get away from needing, we need to start to focus on the big picture and creating a better reality in general. Now, before I forget, because I often do, if you have not yet, please make sure to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Typically, I like to come on once a week. If you subscribe and turn on your notifications, you should be notified when I go live. And then also I do put up videos, regular videos on YouTube as well. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Also follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I do appreciate your support. Let's come through here real quick, what we got going on. Oh, okay. I know who this is because they didn't put your name on here. They switched the names on me in slow motion. It is your birthday. Congratulations. Ooh, Sagittarius. You're Sagittarius, right? I love Sagittarius. One of my favorite signs. Happy, happy birthday. And happy birthday to all the Sagittarians out there. Zaya Suhi, thanks for all you do. How can we work with deep hidden scarcity mindset in the subconscious? One of the best things to do, I talk about this from time to time, is to focus on having. Okay, so deep scarcity mindset essentially means that I've trained my mind to look for lack. I've trained my mind to look for scarcity or to look for absence. And so over time, and you'll notice this, I used to be like this. I was trained in a scarcity mindset. So I would always see what I didn't have. Okay. What you focus on grows. So if you're focused on what you don't have, that becomes very normal. All right. So the way to train yourself out of it is to intentionally focus on what you do have, or what is going well, or what is in abundance. So you just want to make that a daily practice and allow that to build, because it will. All right. So every morning, what I do, I always do this. I get up in the morning and I think about the top things that I have. I have a beautiful family. I have my health. I have a job that I love. I've got money in the bank. I've got I have. That's the main thing, because it will shift the energy away from looking for lack into looking for having. And when you're always looking for having, reality will start to give you more. And then that reinforces the mindset of abundance. Great question. Thank you for asking. Thanks for the super sticker, Tragon. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Alice, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate you. James on Facebook. I can sometimes manifest small, unimportant things, but it takes weeks, months. How can I manifest bigger and important things? How to speed things up? You know, you didn't say this directly, but what I'm picking up on is maybe needing it to happen, or which is what we're talking about today, or just a general fixation on the manifesting. Okay. And this is common. So when you guys are trying to manifest, you'll do something like, okay, I'm going to put that out there, but then you're looking for it, or you're waiting to see if it comes, or you're checking back on it. Manifestation really works best when you just identify it and then go move on to something else. So like I was talking about a minute ago, keeping your eye on the big picture. So there's something that I want. Maybe it's money or it's this, or, and I kind of ask for it. I would like this. And then I zoom back out onto the big picture, which is my full life, and I go mess around in other areas. Okay, so I asked for the money, and now I'm going to go play with my kids. I asked for the money, and now I'm going to go do my job. I asked for the money, and now I'm going to go get lost over here. Because when we do that, we're just asking for things, and we're staying in flow. And we're asking for things, and we're staying in flow. We're not asking and then looking to see if it comes. Because when we start looking for it, what we're doing is we're casting doubt that it's going to happen. So receiving things effortlessly is really about trust. And trust is, I'm just going to delegate this to the universe and keep it moving. When I just tell the universe I want this and I keep it moving, that is a demonstration of trust. So that's the big thing. Okay. So stop looking for it. Don't look for it. Start with really, really, really small things. Just talk, you know what, $5. Let's see if we can manifest $5 this week. Toss it out there, totally forget about it, go on about your business, and it will just show up. Notice that on the small things, and it'll get easier and easier just to toss them out and then zoom back out on the big picture. Hope that's helpful. I'm Lily Rain on Instagram. Hi, Andrea. If someone insults you in a way that is true, for example, saying one's mother was a prostitute, okay, how do you get over the hurt that you feel? The hurt that you feel is what caused the comment to come, okay? So when people insult you and you have a reaction where you feel hurt, we have to understand what's actually going on, which is that I feel something here, and then there's a reflection of it in the outer world. So it's not about getting over what they said. It's about resolving how you feel about what's true. Okay, so, okay, mother was a prostitute. If that's the truth, all right? What that means is I have shame about that, or I have doubts about that, or there's something about me that feels disempowered from that. So you would want to flip that around. So you can look at it as my mother was a prostitute and that's a horrible thing. Or, well, my mother was a prostitute and look how far I've come. It's pretty amazing. I'm where I am considering this. So now your mother being a prostitute is almost kind of a badge of honor. So I don't mean that that's literally something everybody would want necessarily, but if you came from a disenfranchised background and now you're doing very well relatively to how your mother was doing, you can see that as, wow, look how far I've come. So her quote unquote deficiency is actually a reflection of your strength. See, when you see things that way, if someone calls your mom a prostitute, yeah, my mom's a prostitute. And look, I must be pretty awesome because look how awesome I am. And this is where we started. Do you understand? And I'm not trying to label prostitutes in a negative way. I'm just using this for the example. And hopefully I don't get demonetized for saying it that many times. But that's really the trick, is that your label of it is what's causing them to say something. So you have to change how you view that label and give it a positive meaning. That's the big thing. Tries Joey, thank you for the super. Tries Joey says, hi, Andrea, how do you stop your brain from comparing current results to the past? Like when sales were better last year, it feels like a failure now. Oh, well, remember what I said earlier about how when you don't have something, you have the opportunity to get it and that the fun is in the getting it? Well, now you have an opportunity to have the fun again, getting it back. This is a great example that you'll often see with weight loss. Okay, so I'm gonna make the parallel, so hopefully this makes sense. Have you ever lost weight before? Maybe you lost 10 pounds last year. In January, you were real good, okay? But now we're sitting back here in December and you've gained it all back, okay? But you know, if in January comes, you lose a couple pounds, you're gonna start feeling good again. Even if you just lost 2. I lost 10 last year and gained them back, but just losing those 2 pounds again is going to make you feel better. It's the same thing with your sales. So if you had a bum year, okay, great. You know what that means? That means next year I get to have the excitement of maybe getting it back. Okay? Rather than, oh, this is the worst thing ever. Da, da, da. Remember, the fun is in the getting there. So whenever you fall back, you have an opportunity to bounce back. And the bounce back is always a lot of fun. So that's how you want to look at it. Okay? There's this flaw that more is always better. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Sometimes it's fun to fall down and jump back up just to prove that you can do it. Okay? So it's not a failure. It's an opportunity to bounce back. That's how I would shift that one. Great question. All right. Again, today we're talking about how to want it without needing it. Okay, so it's a shift in perception. The first shift, okay, so that we don't become needy or obsessed, is to remember where the fun is. The fun is in that closing of the gap. The fun is in the getting of the sales. The fun is in the getting into the relationship. But once you have it, it's on to the next. So the fun's over. So why try to rush it? Okay? Savor the fun part, and what will happen is you'll actually speed up the manifestation. That's the trick. So remember that the fun is in the coming together. It's not in the actual having. That will help you detach a little bit from neediness. The next one was to focus on the big picture, okay? We don't want to become overly focused in any one area of our life. You're creating a whole reality. You're not creating a car. You're not creating a job. You're creating the whole thing, okay? So the goal should be creating the best reality you can create. So whenever you find yourself getting tunnel vision with one area, remember, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be creating my best reality. So let me zoom out a little bit and go focus on something else. Just like the house developer. I spent enough time with the sconces. If this isn't working out, let's zoom out and go work on the pool. Let's zoom out and go work on the kitchen. We got to build a whole house here, not just a wall sconce. Okay? That's the way we got to look at it. All right, so here's the next thing too. And I kind of touched on this with Coach Debbie's question. We want to view all desires as improvements. They are wants, not needs. They are improvements. Okay. So what I mean by that is, again, the big goal is you're creating a reality. You're creating a reality. You already have a reality. You are not starting from ground zero. You are not starting from ground zero. You're not lacking in a reality. You already have a reality. So whenever you want to manifest something, you're manifesting an improvement to what you already have. You don't need it to have a reality. You already have a reality. So the example that I gave in the last one about the house developer, you're actually a step ahead of the house developer because you already have the house. It's already here. You already have the reality. You're just adding in some sconces. You're just adding in some new tile. It's a want, not a need. Your reality isn't going to cease to exist because you didn't get the boyfriend, or because you didn't get the money, or because you didn't get the job. You still already have a reality. This is an important thing to understand, okay? So when we delve into the land of need and we need things to happen, what we are essentially saying to the universe is, if I don't get these wall sconces, I'm just going to burn the whole thing to the ground. It makes no sense. Okay? Everything that you want is a want, not a need. You don't need any of that stuff to have a reality. So the way that we look at the things that we're asking for is very important. If you want it without needing it, define it in your own mind as something that you want and something that is an addition to. It would be nice to have this thing. It would be an improvement, yes, but it's not a need, because even if I don't get this thing, I still have a whole reality. Okay, this is an abundance mindset. Again, this is another way of zooming back out, is understanding that the things that you guys are trying to manifest, they are simply additions to something that's already complete. That's all they are. So I like the house analogy, and that's something I like to think about a lot when I'm manifesting, is that, we're just painting the shutters here. Okay, we're just repainting the bathroom. We're just, getting the carpet shampooed. Look at your manifestations that way, is that we're just kind of making little improvements here and there. The whole structure isn't going to collapse if this one thing doesn't come through to fruition. So you have to understand that and not put so much stock in these individual things happening. Okay, so always keep that in mind. When you ask for things, the attitude really should be, this would be nice. It would be nice to have this. It would be nice to have the girlfriend. It would be nice to have the new house. It'd be nice to have the job. It would be nice, not I need it, not it has to happen, but it would be nice. Okay, that's the way you focus in on want over need, is by defining it as a want, defining it as an improvement rather than a requirement, because it's not a requirement. If it was a requirement, you wouldn't be here, okay, because you didn't have it. All right. So always keep that in mind. Moving along here. Got another super here. Opulent Beauty, thank you for the super. I'm still on my vacation having an amazing time. Oh yeah, I saw that. So Opulent Beauty had said something about going on a vacation and not sure where the money was going to come from, but then you wrote a comment about how you went and it all kind of worked out, and you're still on the vacation. So, and you got enough money coming in to give me a super. So you're obviously doing great. Enjoy your vacation, Opulent Beauty. Thanks for keeping us up to date on that. Manifesting a good result. Charlotte's Build played the original Sim City in black and white. So did I. We're showing our age. Mehek Paltrecha. I wish they put the regular names on here again, because I gotta read your handles, and sometimes I say them just terribly, but here's your question. I have a business idea, but because of past failures, I keep putting off building it, and because of that, I can't manifest success to it. How to overcome that? Ooh. If you're having the put it off experience, like, okay, if there's something you guys want to build, so this is good for long-term projects, okay? Business, maybe a health plan, whatever. There's something that you perceive is going to be a journey, but you're kind of not getting on the journey. One of the best things that you can do is just narrow it down to just the simplest little thing, and just go do the simplest little thing today. And then tomorrow, go do 2 simple things. And then the next day, go do 3 simple things, and use momentum to pick you up. So I'm saying this because I build a lot of courses, as you guys are aware. And whenever I build a course, it's a very complicated endeavor. Okay, so there's lots of different parts to the course, and we need images and we need audio. There's all this stuff that you got to do. And it's not all going to get done today. All right. So when I sit down to build a course, I don't ever sit down and try to attack like 5 hours or 6 hours in a day. My first day of building a course is just, what's the name? What's the name of the course? Or what's the big idea of the course? Like there's one little thing I have on my to-do list. That's it. Okay. And so I recommend doing that is just do one little thing. And then tomorrow aim to do 2 little things. And the day after that, try to do 3 little things. And by the day after that, try to do 4 little things. And by the time you get to day 5, you're moving. And the energy will pick you up and you'll be naturally motivated to keep moving on that path because you're using momentum. Great question. Mickey D's channel. Hi, Andrea. If we have huge goals, should we aspire to be like people like Steve Jobs, who they say was so delusional and that's how he manifested so much? Yeah, I mean, delusion's kind of the name of the game, right? That's delusional gets a bad rap, but it is true. People who don't see limits or who think unrealistically achieve a lot more. That is true. So you always want to have it in your mind that it could always be bigger. This is no big deal. It can be done, rather than ascribing to what other people think is going to be a limitation. Oh, it's going to take this much money or it's going to take this much time. You know, Steve Jobs had his limitations, right? But the belief that you could do something big is really at the cornerstone of being able to manifest things that are big. And delusional really isn't delusional, okay? People give the word delusion a bad rap. Delusion means you're not falling for the false limitations. Delusion is actually truth, because delusion means your mind is open to anything happening rather than closed and narrowly shut with limitations and restrictions that are self-imposed. Okay, so yes, be delusional. Be totally delusional. It helps. Luis, we got 2 here. Luis says, first of all, thank you, Luis. Luis says, first of all, I'm very happy that you're back. Second, I agree. It's easy not to need and instead want when it's about the next car, holidays, partner, investment opportunity. But I get Coach Debbie because I've been there in the past. There's zero fun in almost having money to pay the rent debt when there's a deadline. You may feel the universe takes care of it, but to enjoy it, that's the stretch. Well, but when the money comes, that's where the fun is. So the part that's not fun is sitting in the awareness that it's not here and I feel like I need it and I'm stressed out about it not being here. That's not fun at all. There's zero fun in that. But if you're in a situation where you're waiting on $20,000 and maybe heretofore you've been pessimistic about it, but you start to feel like maybe it's going to happen, or you start seeing inclinations that it's happening, that's where it switches into fun. What I'm saying is, in that moment where you start to become optimistic and you start to see it coming, that's where you start to get excited and you accelerate it. It's in that section where it still hasn't yet come, but you're excited for it. That's where the fun is. Once she gets the $20,000, the jig is up. Okay, I'm relieved now, on to the next. There's no fun in that. Okay. So there's no fun in lack, and there's no fun in feeling lack, and there's no fun in actually that attaining of the thing and having of the thing. But there is fun in that moment, those moments of optimism where it's starting to come together. So the reason why this is helpful is that you want to move your mind away from the actual having of the $20,000 to, I want to experience that fun of us coming together, that point where it's not quite here yet. Because most people aren't interested in that. They just want to get the money in the bank, and they don't understand that the fun is in that feeling like maybe it's going to happen. That's where the fun is. It's in the prior to the having. Now, the reason why this is happening is the reason why this is important is that if you understand that the fun is actually prior to it occurring, now you can actually be kind of excited. Well, I don't have it yet, but that means that the fun's still on its way. I'm in that point where I still get to have the joy of it coming. Once it's here, it's going to be over anyway. So when you have that way of looking at things, you stop needing it to happen now, and you start enjoying that, oh, I'm actually in the process of this occurring. That's the thing. I hope that makes sense. The more I need it to come right now, the more I'm skipping over that part of the journey, the fun part. I hope that's helpful. It's like the weight loss journey again. You know, like some people may want to lose 50 pounds and it's going to be great. Once you lose 50 pounds, sure, you're going to look great, but it's going to become normal to you in a quick hurry. But all that time where you're losing a pound here, a pound there, a pound there, that whole journey to the loss of the 50, now you're having fun. Okay? That's the way you have to look at it. Okay? It's the completion part is not where the fun is. That's where the neediness comes in, is where I think that the completion is where the fun is. That's not where the fun is. The fun is in the journey to it. Okay? Gianni Aradu, 2137. You were talking about having fun in a relationship. What if all I got is fun and could never get married? Where is the mistake? There aren't, well, that's the other thing. The idea that it's over once you get something and that there's not the next thing. So I think the problem that sometimes people have when it comes to commitment in relationships, they may get the fun part. The fun is in the let's just get together. But once I get them, the fun is over. Okay. And so then you need to redefine what's going on. Once you have the marriage, then it's building the best marriage, or it's building a better relationship within the marriage. Does that make sense? There may be a perception that I'm going to get this and then that's it. Yes, you got it. Now you got to build on that. That's the whole point, is that you guys are going to get something and then there's the next goal. And then you're going to get something and there's the next goal. And the fun is in going from one to the next. The problem people have with something like marriage is that the idea is I'm going to get this person and then we're done doing everything in this area. So now I'm just entirely bored. So if instead you look, we're going to have fun getting into the marriage, and then we're going to have fun building XYZ, or we're going to have fun building a family, or we're going to have fun, there'll be another goal on the other end of that. But a lot of people have the perception, not a lot, but some, I know my brother has this perception. Once you get married, all the fun and games are over. Well, if you have that feeling, then yeah, marriage isn't going to be something that you're probably trying to accomplish. Hopefully that makes sense. So looking at it as being a fun adventure, that there would be a fun adventure in that as well. Okay. Pete says, question, how can you project something positive onto someone? For example, that they are successful and wealthy, even if they are not so yet in reality. You know, the momentum is always the helpful part. Okay. So if you're looking at somebody, let's say there's somebody homeless on the side of the street, it's going to be hard to look at the homeless person and say, oh, he's a billionaire, he's rich. Okay. That's going to be a stretch, because your reality has already shown to you that we have this belief or this expectation that this person is living in poverty. Okay. So instead you want to reach into it. Okay. So we don't always want to be necessarily literal. Instead, we want to be kind of creative. All right. So maybe the homeless guy on the side of the street, he's living a very interesting life. He's living a very unique life. He's lived a very colorful life. Notice that when I say things like this, I'm putting a spin on what he's got going on. Sure, there's poverty, but there's also an element of excitement. There's also an element of adventure. There's also an element of wisdom or seeing things or having experiences that some of us will never have. And notice that when I'm doing that, I'm focusing on what this homeless person has. Okay, that's the big thing, is that we're getting away from focusing on what they don't have, and we're focusing instead on what they do have. And when we notice that, what we're saying to the universe is this person has, therefore this person has abundance, because abundance is the state of having. And so that's how we want to project onto other people, is we always want to be looking at the flip side of the coin. Because there's this tendency to look at, well, the person's having a hard time in business, so there's a problem. But you could look at it as this person's learning a lot about business. This person is in the journey of building a business. This person's having an experience in building. They have something rather than they're lacking something. That's the big thing. So when you're trying to help people, okay, the way we help people is by focusing on abundance within them. And you can do that even if they're homeless on the streets. The idea is, what do they have? Okay? Rather than noticing what they do not have. Okay? That's the dichotomy. All right? So when you guys are in the process of building a higher vibration for yourself, the higher your vibration gets, the more you're focused on having. Having is the vibration of coming into the realization that you are connected with everything. You do have everything. You are all that is. You have all. That's why you're focused on having in the higher vibration. When we focus in the opposing direction, we're focusing on lack, which is separation, which is not having. And that creates a more fragmented experience where we and the people around us feel like we don't have. Okay? So it's just a choice of the mind to focus on having rather than lack. That's the only thing that's going to change it. Great question. Packle, thank you. Did I say that right? Pasal or Pekal Art? You bought one of my courses that included an audio replay and changed your life. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Banji says he went to church today and there are so many similarities with the law of attraction. It's crazy to you. You know, I've noticed that too. I'm not a particularly religious person, but I have gone to church, and the messages, if they're inspired messages, are very similar. They're very similar. Luis, thank you. You said that made total sense, and you can kind of relate it to your belief that the goals that were the most painful to obtain are also the. Yeah, that's a great point too. Okay, when we're getting away from need and into want, this another really great thing I didn't mention. I'm glad you brought it up. You know, the things that it takes you the longest to get in alignment with are the most satisfactory. That's what Luis is saying. So, like, let's say that you've been trying to build a business, because we've seen this example on here today, and it's not working, it's not working, it's not working. When it finally comes together and the person feels that it's coming, that is such a joyous ride. Okay? So that's another thing too, is that when you guys start to feel like it's not happening, it's not working, the have spin on that is, okay, that means when it comes into alignment, I'm really going to love it. It's not going to be one of these, oh, that was kind of fun. It's going to be a really fun journey when I finally get to it. Notice that this is how we validate what's going on rather than reject. Because a lot of times when things aren't going well, we say, this is wrong, I am lacking, it isn't working, and that prevents it from coming. But the longer it's taking, now I can put the spin on it. Well, when this one shows up, it's really going to be a fun ride. Now I'm saying that the distance is actually a good thing. And now I can close the gap quicker. Glad you brought that up. Good point. Eddie DV, thank you for the super. Everything you say sets off fireworks in your mind and applies to so many areas. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Eddie. Thank you so much. In snow motion, I do the obstacle race or course races, and the fun is the whole race, not the 2-second moment at the finish line. True. Exactly. Okay. So you wouldn't go on a race to get to the finish line, right? That's why even go through the race. Just stand at the finish line then. I did it. I'm here. Right? No, that's not where the fun is. The fun is in the whole journey too. And so when we can get into that perception that the fun is actually in the getting to it, not in the actual having of it, now we validate that where we are is the right place. I'm in the place where the fun occurs now. The fun isn't when I get it. The fun is now. Now I can enjoy it's coming to me. And when I'm enjoying it coming to me, it accelerates. Okay, that's the big thing. Great point. Great point. Fairy Dragon, thank you for the super. And guys, this is the last super I'm going to take, so don't give me any more. I don't want to take your money and not answer your question, but I got to talk about a couple more things, but I want to make sure I'm not just taking people's money and not answering. Fairy Dragon says, Dear Andrea, I feel like a failure in my business, avoiding going for where success is possible, self-sabotaging due to trauma. How do I address that? Avoid going where success is possible, self-sabotaging. What I'm hearing from this is that I'm trying to avoid fear, okay? So a lot of times when people are afraid to go for things, they're afraid, what if I fall down? What if I get laughed at? What if this doesn't work? What if it okay? One thing that was very instrumental to me in business, and I've applied this to all areas, this is helpful. Okay, it may sound scary, but it's helpful. Always run towards fear rather than away from it. Okay, and start on a smaller level. Okay, on a smaller level. But when there's something like, I don't know if I want to say this in front of this person, just say it. Okay, start doing that, because what you're going to notice is that the more you try to avoid things that cause fear in you, the more the fear starts to build and becomes irrational and large. And that's what's happened, is that we started with something small and we're avoiding it, and the fear is getting bigger. So a really great thing to train yourself to do, and again, you don't need to start with the whole business right now, but every time there's like this small sense of, I don't want to say that, I don't want to do that, just do it anyway. Because when you run towards fear rather than against it, you obliterate it. Because fear is an illusion of the mind. So let me give you an example. Okay, this is a great example because I want to make sure this makes sense. Okay, let's say that you're dealing with a bully. Okay, this is an example most people have seen. If you're dealing with a bully, what will often happen is that the person will try to avoid the bully. They won't want to step on their toes. They won't want to say anything that sets them off. And what happens is that the fear gets bigger, and then the bully gets bigger and louder and meaner and more aggressive. But a funny thing happens is that if the bully meets somebody who immediately just checks them, nope, not going to talk to me that way, buddy. Nope, I'm firing back. The bully stands down. It's like that with everything. Okay, so yeah, it probably is due to trauma, because for some reason we're trying to avoid being abused or hurt or whatever. But the walking on the eggshells creates more of the problem. So you want to train yourself slowly but surely to run towards fear rather than against it. Great question. Okay, guys, before I forget, reminder, because this time of year I get lots of questions. So if you haven't gotten it yet, make sure to grab this is free. This doesn't cost any money. This is for the new year. If you want to manifest physical results in your body, these are my top tips. They are free. You can pick this up at bestbodytips.com, bestbodytips.com. And I'm sure Mary's going to drop that link in the chat as well. It's also on Instagram. The link is in the link tree in my bio. Another reminder, again, we're going to have an abundance sale coming up. soon around the new year. So December 30th through January 6th, be on the lookout because all my abundance packages will be on sale for the new year. And then also, I do plan on being back on Sunday. I really want to get back on track. I've had a lot of distractions lately, so my plan is to be back on Sunday, this coming Sunday. So when's that going to be? Today is the 7th, the 14th, I should be here. So if you haven't yet, again, make sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications so that you're notified when I come back. And thanks so much, guys, for showing up and for all the supers. I really do appreciate it. It's been fun talking to you guys. And of course, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.